ओके
अब 2 मिनट मात्र बचा है।
ठीक है सर।
शुरू में ही कर लीजिएगा और स्लाइड देख लीजिए ना, और स्लाइड शुरू।
ठीक है सर।
2 मिनट और।
एक मिनट इसको म्यूट कर देना चाहिए। इसको कर देते हैं। Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Kirti, Chayak, Assistant Professor, Chayakya National Law University, and we are dealing with the course name which is Human Resource Development. Yesterday, we have seen what are the blocks which are there in this paper, and then we have discussed two first units of this entire course, along with discussing those different blocks which are four in number, and then there are units which are 12. And yesterday, as you know, that we have covered human resource development, its introduction, what are the various systems, what are the mechanisms, what are the 10 commandments. So the first two units were the introductory part of human resource development. Now we are going to deal with the unit 3 today, and I'll try to cover unit 3, 4, and if possible unit 5. So starting with the unit 3, which is HRD process and methods, the objective of this unit are understanding the conceptual framework. Now we are going to understand various mechanisms and methods for HRD interventions, develop an understanding of the outcomes of human resource development process and what impact it has on the organization as a system, then understand different stages of HRD process and its framework, and then we will learn the interlinkage of HRD process and its outcome in the organization. The structure of this unit is that first we'll be dealing with the introduction, then the concept of human resource development process, along with the third section is HRD process and HRD climate and its outcome on HRD as well as an organization. Then you can do the self study, that is case study, the summary of the entire unit, then self assessment question, and further endings are there in your book. So I will suggest you to open the book and start with the third unit of block 1. Okay, it will be very easy to understand those chapters or units if you go with the video following your book. Okay, so starting with the introduction, let's see the background of human resource development, as we have already discussed a few things yesterday. So carrying forward, I would like you to understand that organization of today have immense challenging in challenges in managing the human expectations along with the stakeholders' expectations, and continuing the growth to higher charge of profitability and returns on investment. So this is the basic challenge which HRD has to focus on, has to tackle in the current scenario. Now, the role of another thing which is very important to observe or to focus on is that the role of human resources has risen from just providing service or advisory functions to business units. Now it has taken the strategic leadership position and act as the driving force for success of any organization. Now, in the backdrop of any developments, the human resource development process has the onus of defining the direction of not only the human potential and optimizing it, but giving the organization also a competitive edge and advantageous position in the market when compared to its competitors. Now, human resource progression is a continuous and dynamic in nature. You know that it happens on a regular basis, on a continuous basis. There is no breakage in the entire progression of human resources at various levels of organization as well as the global market. Okay, so the focus that we have to shift is to understand that all the generations of the workforce, whether millennials, we talk about Gen Zs and Next and X, or whatever generation we talk about, the development index in human competencies, attitude, knowledge, skill, and speed of learning to adopt disruptive technology are the parameters of organizational success. So, meet the parameters and come up with those ideas and innovation that could meet the challenges of the current technological advancement is the basic importance of human resource development. Now, the second thing which we should consider is that human resource development is a never ending process. Whenever there is an organization and there are employees, you can view or you can imagine that the development happens each and every day. They learn, they are faced with challenges, they are handling their roles, and in this way, they develop their skills and capacities. And they also get training and counseling and coaching and mentoring. Yeah, they are very periodic processes or instrument of human resource development, but it happens on a regular and continuous basis. So we can say that human resource development is a never-ending process, and depending upon the necessity, nature, size of business, the type of network, type of work done, efforts made to develop human resources may vary from time to time and organization to organization, as we have already seen. Okay, and it is also human resource development also tries to look into the kind of change the organization is going through, and also the nature of skill the organization wishes to build inside it on a regular basis in the same organization. So the development should be very regular, should be at a desired pace, and the skill should be enhanced on regular mode. Okay, and in order to improve staff competencies, the business devises a variety of interventions, like we studied the various mechanisms and instruments in the last unit that we have discussed, like coaching, counseling, mentoring, training programs, uh, role defining, role designing. Different interventions are there through which improvement of competencies of your employees can be done, and that is to be taken care by human resource development department. Now, when these processes are implemented in the workplace, it results in what? It results in more competent, contented, and devoted employees. And these type of employees who are contented and devoted and loyal to the organization will offer their best efforts, and this way company may expand and sustain in the long run. Another way to understand this or understand the background is that the efficiency of any organization is influenced entirely by the variety of factors like environment, technology, rivals, But all these factors or other factors are equal. An organization with competent, satisfied, dynamic, and dedicated employees is more likely to succeed than one with the poor scores on these HRD outcome characteristics. So the focus is always that whatever efficient organization technology or rivals we have, but if we have competent workforce, human resource, and it is dynamic in nature, the success is not very far. The success is bound to come. Okay. And in the same way, if the organization with the superior HRD climate and practice is more likely to be effective than one that does not have like those kind of HRD climates, which require intervention from time to time. So HRD climate building is a very important aspect of human resource development process. Okay, and this is due to the fact that a number of HRD processes working simultaneously in the organization seamlessly, effortlessly, and it should generally result in the better HRD outcomes. Now that we have understood that HRD processes and its background, now we see that what are the climate variables. Now, I would like you to recall that in the last class we have seen that HRD mechanism or subsystems or instruments are there which can be used further to implement the HRD process and create an HRD climate. Now, various variables are there or factors are there which together combine to formulate an HRD climate. Okay, which have certain factors which influence these climate factors. And in the third box, as you see in this chart, are those HRD outcome variables. Now, what are these outcome variables? The mechanisms are there to facilitate the implementation of process, and when process is implemented, we get certain outcomes. Okay, now these are the outcome variables which are there written there in the box, third box, which are more competent people, better development rates, high work commitment, high job involvement, problem solving skills of our employees, better utilization of human resources, higher job satisfaction, generation of internal resources, better organization health, better organizational climate, then great teamwork. These are the outcomes which every organization tries to achieve, and these HRD outcome variables are the results of the efforts taken by HRD mechanism or subsystems. Now, HRD mechanisms or subsystems that we have discussed before also are different department, performance appraisal, review feedback, counseling, role analysis, potential development, training, communication policies, job rotation, rewards, organizational development exercises, and other mechanisms are there which are going to help implement the process. Now, what these variables are, the process variables or the HRD climate variables, these are role quality, awareness of competencies, proactive orientation, trust, collaboration. Okay, so this is the entire climate or the process variables which has been laid out in front of you with the help of a chart. Okay, now other HRD outcomes that are derived from the lower level of HRD outcomes are higher productivity, growth and satisfaction, cost reduction, higher profit, better image, and other factors are which are influencing it, the environment, technology, resources available, and the nature of business, etc. Now, looking at the various factors of HRD process and HRD climate are role clarity. Role clarity, whatever role an employee has been assigned should be very clear. The role occupant must be aware about his or her task and functions, his boundaries, his responsibilities, his accountability, the span of control should be there. So role clarity is one of the major variable or factor of all these HRD processes and HRD climate. Then another is awareness of competencies. required for the job performance. So I would like you to focus that yesterday in the second unit we have already discussed the mechanism. So now we are discussing the process and HRD climate variables, which will lead to ultimate attainment of the HRD outcomes. So we are discussing these variables which are there in HRD processes, as we have already discussed the components or instrument in HRD mechanism. Now awareness of competence is required for the job. We have also seen the competencies like intellectual competencies, behavioral competencies were there, and technical competencies were there. So an employee or role occupant must be aware about the competencies that required to perform the job, and if they do not have the knowledge, they must be made aware about it with the help of HRD system. Okay, and so in order to achieve the job performance level, desired job performance level, it is always pertinent to have awareness about the competencies required for the job. So everyone knows that what they are supposed to attain, what level of performance they should exhibit, and the another factor is proactive orientation. HRD always has this proactive orientation, that is future oriented. Now whenever you are, if you have an exam and you do not study 1 or 2 months or the entire semester, at the moment when you have the exam, you can have anxiety, you can have issues with understanding the chapters, the unit. So you have to be very proactive when it comes to your career. In the same manner, HRD also focuses on future requirements, coming trends, market trends which are there, and they take a proactive approach and give HRD human resources the proper training, proper competencies, proper skills are imparted so that future contingencies, future changes are met seamlessly. So proactive orientation is always a very important factor when it comes to HRD process and HRD climate variables. Okay. Now the next one is trust. If the employees, the human resources do not have a trust among themselves, first on themselves, that they can perform the job better, then on the group or team of which they are part, and then the organization as a whole, if there is no trust, no organization, no employee can succeed in their endeavors. So trust is a very important factor when it comes to HRD processes and the climate. Okay, then collaboration and teamwork. None of the organizational task, job, or project can be completed if there is no team collaboration. Whenever there are people working in an organization, if there is a conflict, if there is day to day issues between them, and there is no role clarity, or no understanding that who one is going to perform what work, then collaboration and teamwork cannot be achieved. So collaboration and teamwork are always important to achieve the task and job completion on time, and to see that there is a congenial environment at workplace. Yes, healthy competition is always welcome, but not the unhealthy competition, because it will create an hindrance in the work atmosphere, which is going to be detrimental in the long run for the organization and mental health of the employees as well. So collaboration and teamwork have a great impact on the entire climate of the organization and human resource development. Okay, then authenticity. The work should be very authentic. If the work has been given to the employees, it should be very it should be done genuinely and with most efforts, best efforts. And organization should also be very authentic towards employees, in the sense that they should give them a sense of belongingness, a fair treatment, no disparity in pay, job pays, job environment. There should be no discrepancy regarding the reward system, recognition of the employees. So biasness on the part of management or the organization should not be there, because it can lower the morale of the employees. And if the authenticity is not there, organizational functions will not be done in a best possible manner. Okay. Now, another variables are openness. Yes, there should always be, we'll be discussing Octa pace, which is in the next section, I suppose. And then there is openness, risk taking propensity, how much risk one employee can have or the organization can take. An organization can rely upon the employees, and employees can rely upon the organization. What kind of value is generated between the organization and the employees, employee to employee, and value generation in terms of value addition to the product or services that are being offered by the organization. Clarification of norms and standard. All the norms, standards, code of conduct, various policies, communication should be done in such a manner that each and every employee must be aware about these norms or standards or beliefs or any kind of policy that has been planned or that has been chalked out by the management or top executive level executives. Now, better communication is also a very important factor of these HRD processes. If there is no communication, there will be no clarity of role, there will be no clarity of functions to be performed, no clarity about the norms and standards or various policies. So, better communication will ultimately lead to the success of the organization, success of the employees. Fair reward system is also a part of this entire HRD process. As you know, that there are instruments like performance appraisal, review systems are there on the basis of which employees are being rewarded, being given compensation, benefit packages. So reward system should be very much clear, and it should be towards towards the betterment of your organization and as well as your employees. So it is a very important part of HRD process, and it will create a very congenial and healthy HRD climate. If the rewards are not being fair, the climate can have or it can hinder the climate, and the climate will deteriorate in the coming time. So fair reward should be always practiced, and it is a part or a tool of HRD process, and a factor also which which creates a difference, which affects the HRD process. Now, generation of unbiased data on employees. The softwares are there, the HR packages are there, HRIS is there, Human Resource Information System. So the data of employees should be made very clearly and it should be unbiased. Now, other factors which are there available or which are functioning or act as a mechanism in the HRD processes are personnel policies, top management style, investment on human resource development, what amount or what percentage of the company's profit is being spent on human resources and their development, top management's commitment towards the organization as well as human resources, history or vision, mission, and where the company started is also a part of human resource development process and HRD climate, and the past culture that exists in the organization is also a factor which affects the entire climate. Now, as we've seen that I use the word octapase. Now, as a resource development specialist, we use this term octapase to express the what should be the characteristics, the basic key points that every human resource development climate must have. Now, that is openness, confrontation, trust, authenticity, proactivism, autonomy, collaboration, and experimentation. Now, these key characteristics are also few of them are factors of human resource development process. Discussing one by one, that openness is freedom to communicate, share, and interact without hesitation. There should be no boundary between the employees or employees to management or management to the uh, top level executive. So there should be openness among all the key agents of the organization, and then only human resource development climate could be a nice one, could be the desired one, and which will lead to the desired HRD outcomes. The second one is confrontation. If there are problems, if there are issues, if there are challenges, it must be dealt very boldly, and there should be clarity among the employees and employees to management. So, confrontation is a very key part, major characteristics of human resource development climate. If there is no confrontation and things are being kept secret and things are not being discussed, the issues are not being discussed, it can lead to better experience at workplace and better relationships at the workplace. Now then, the third key characteristic or pillar for this entire HRD climate is trust. So building a sense of assurance is a major work or major function of a human resource management, and it is a part of human resource development process as well. So this is a key characteristic. If trust is there in the organizational climate, the success is for sure. So, trust is also a key factor, and it is about building a trust, building a sense of security, assurance, and having confidence, faith within self and with each other and towards the organization, and what organization can have towards the employees. So, trust between all the key agents of an organization is an important part when it comes to human resource development climate or HRD climate. Then the next one is authenticity, that congruence between what one feels, says, and does. If we do not do what we say or we do not feel what we say, there is non congruence in our personality. So, the same way, or an organization also must have this congruence between what the mission, vision statement says, what organization feels, and depicts its feeling towards its employees and has a commitment towards the employees. Now, in the same manner, employees also must have a feeling that they can say what they feel and what they say they do. So authenticity is what is a very major factor, a major key characteristics, major or key characteristic of human resource development climate. Then proactivism, taking initiative and pre-planning and taking preventive action before the HR trend comes, analyzing it, forcing those trends, coming trends changes, and taking care of the human resource needs is being a proactive approach, or taking a proactive approach to lead will lead an HRD climate, a desired climate. Okay, then autonomy should be there in the climate, that each and every employee must have some power, some delegation of authority so that they can use it, and the freedom must be given to them to act in their own sphere and perform their roles with best or maximum efforts possible. Then collaboration, as we have already dealt, it is about giving help and accepting help from others in a team, so that teamwork is developed and the team cohesiveness is there. Then the last uh, key characteristics of this HRD climate variable is experimentation, that is taking the innovative approach, taking the fresh ideas, looking at things and fostering creativity. So if there is no experimentation, it will lead to stagnation in the teamwork, in the different operations, different functions in the organization. So innovation and creativity must be part of the entire organizational climate or the HRD climate in order to achieve the HRD outcomes or desired outcomes. Then the stages of HRD framework. Now, what is this HRD framework? HRD framework is a function oriented framework or layout in which we develop the human resources. It is the actual plan which should be executed or implemented in order to have the desired result, which we are referring here as HRD outcomes. Desired HRD outcomes. Okay, so four major part of this entire HRD framework exist. That is assessment, design, implementation, and evaluation. Okay, so we'll be dealing one by dealing this entire chart, focusing on each box one by one. Okay, but first we need to understand a few things, that this framework acts and an HRD gives a framework to the agents of the association to help in improvement of their individual capacity. Now, who are these agents? Agents are the employees, the human resources, the management, the human resource management. So this framework helps people to understand what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do, and have a collaboration in the entire team, and hence improve their own capacity. Now, HRD is the most essential factor of a firm, as we have already discussed, and we also know that to have a long run efficiency of the workforce, HRD is the moving factor. Now, HRD has to work to improve the workforce by addressing all the domains of learning, that is cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. So HRD does not only focuses on mental capacity or skill enhancement. No, it is about addressing all the movements of learning for a particular employee, for a particular human resource or group of human resource. And what are these domains? These are cognitive or informational or intellectual, psychomotor, action or skill, how we perform, how we talk, how we are groomed or not, affective, that is its emotional values and norms and attitude, that has also to be shaped. So psychomotor abilities or domains of learning are also being administered with the help of HRD, and it leads to improvement of the entire workforce. Okay, and then framework is divided into four major steps, that is assessment, design, implementation, and evaluation. So these are the various steps taken in this entire HRD framework, which we are going to deal in the next slide, that is assessment, design, implementation, and evaluation. There are different stages, and the first stage, which is assessment, we assess the need of the organization. We assess what are the needs of the employees are there. Then if we analyze that there is a need for development in psychomotor or in cognitive factor or in the emotional dimension, then we prioritize those needs, and those needs which are of utmost importance to be catered are further taken up to the next level of this entire framework, which is design. So further we define the objective of the HRD function, then develop lesson plan, how the entire training program or counseling or mentoring will be implemented, then select the leader, trainer, coach, or counselor. Then the next step is to select the method or technique, on the job method, off the job method, vestibule training or apprentice training. Then we design or decide the schedule of the program, that is it is going to be for 1 week, that is going to be a 5 day training program. Okay, what kind of intervention and when it is going to be implemented, so schedule of the program is selected. Then comes the implementation part, when we have decided all the factors which are important for this entire HRD function. What we do, we implement it, and during the implementation we deliver the HRD program or intervention which is being decided and which is needed as per the prioritized need in the first step that we have already done. Then in the last phase, which is evaluation. Yes, evaluation and feedback is always a very important part or stage of the entire human resource development process or any human resource development function. And here we evaluate first what are the objectives, so that we select the evaluation criteria. Then we determine evaluation design. Further, when we go deep into our entire syllabus, we'll see there are reward and recognition system, there are performance mechanisms or performance appraisal mechanism or talent management mechanisms. So these are the various tools which are applied to evaluate the implementation part of any HRD function in the HRD framework. Okay, so in this last stage of the entire HRD function, we conduct or evaluate the entire program or intervention that has been implemented, and we interpret the result that whether the program was effective or not. Has the human resource or employee received the skill or proper competency that they had a gap? Is the gap filled which was there in our need assessment phase, or has the program any further scope to be improved? So these are the major results and their interpretation which will be used in further programs or further training of the employees. Okay, so this was the HRD framework. Now interlinkage between the HRD process and its outcome and the organization. So at HRD climate and processes determine the human resource development outcomes. If the climate is good, it's desirable, the outcomes which we are trying to achieve will be achieved in a best possible manner. Now, most competent and satisfied committed individuals arrives from improved human resource development climate and processes. If it is not up to the mark, if it has a certain glitch and issues, we cannot have a satisfied workforce, competent workforce, which will always have an impact on HRD outcomes or organizational output. Okay, then HRD processes are numerous. N number of practices are going on in the organization on a day-to-day basis simultaneously and in a very seamless manner. So HRD outcomes are few, but the processes are numerous, which are diverted or directed towards at these achievement of these HRD outcomes. So this is the basic linkage between HRD process and the outcome. So the process leads to the desired outcome. So if we have certain standard, certain expected outcome or results of the human resource development functions, it can only be achieved through the HRD process and a congenial HRD climate. If the climate is not good, processes cannot be implemented on time and desired way, and the outcome would never be achieved if the climate is. So all these climate processes and outcome are linked together and independent to dependent to each other. Now interlinkage further reading is that organizational effectiveness is generated and determined by the organizational outcomes, human resource development outcomes, and the company with knowledgeable and dedicated employees are most likely to achieve and be successful. Then poor human resource development outcomes are results of weak HRD climate, as we have already discussed in the last slide. Poor policies, top management commitment is not up to the mark, and indicating that organizational atmosphere and process need to be improved. So if the outcomes are not as per the expectation, there are issues underlying which need to be focused upon and to be catered and to be analyzed. Okay, so this is the linkage. Now moving to the next unit, which is human resource development and employees. We have uh, we have to discuss conceptual development, the meaning and definition of human resource development. What is human resource development for the managers, then functions of HRD department for its employees. Now, in this unit, we must understand what is development. So, conceptual development of or the background of this entire unit is that organization aims for sustainable competitive advantage and to create better workplace and system for its employees. Human capital, as we have discussed, is a combination of various emotional quotient, intelligence quotient, social quotient, cultural quotient, and it's a combination of various attributes. So it is one of the most important asset of any of an organization, and organization invest day to day in their human resources. So when there is an investment in the capital, we have certain expectation in our mind. An organization is has this characteristics of perpetuity and sustainability, and it depends entirely upon this human capital, which is rare, okay, and which is portable. So individual stakeholders of an organization also constitute the organizational human capital. It does not mean that there is a group of employees and they are the only part of organization. No, or organizational human capital. No, the stakeholders, each and every stakeholder, is a part of the entire organizational human capital. Okay. Now, individual human capital consists of knowledge, skill, abilities, attitude, and we have already discussed in our first unit. Now, human resource system, process, policy aims at planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and coordinating various aspects of talent acquisition, development, and retention. All the activities which are performed during human resource development are focused towards what? Towards the aspect of talent acquisition, how we can hire them, how can retain them, how can we develop our human resources. So all these activities which are done in the HR resource system, the activities can be the process policies, planning, organizing of this or entire process, directing these processes, and controlling it, is derived or is it's guided towards the coordination of various aspects of human resources at various levels of managers, employees, workers, whether contractual, part-time, temporary, permanent, are the pulse of the organization and need to be developed and retained for the organizational sustainable growth and development. Then another thing which we need to understand before going to the further sections of human resource development is that it is a set of systematic and planned activities designed by an organization to provide its member with the necessary skill to meet current and future job demands. So what is development? Development is imparting of certain skills, certain set of competencies, so that there is a systematic growth of its member and their capacities. In the words of McLagan, what he says that what is human resource development? So human resource development is integrated use of training and development and organizational development, career development, and all these activities or these development activities are focused toward individual, group, and organizational effectiveness. So in order to achieve organizational and effectiveness, we need to integrate various processes of human resource development, which we have dealt in the previous unit. Now, meaning or definition of human resource development, we have already seen two definitions in the last section. In here and here, there are three definitions given. The process of increasing the knowledge, skill, and capabilities of all the employees or people in the society. Then, human resource development is a series of organized activities conducted within a specified time and designed to produce behavioral change. So, these activities, these processes are focused, aimed at producing or the behavioral change in a particular human resource or a class of society. Okay. Then another definition says that it is a systematic expansion of people's work-related abilities, and it is focused on the attainment of both organizational and personal goals. So these are the three definitions which can be viewed. There are 10 to 15 definitions given in your book when you will see that 4.2 section of the entire block. Then what is human resource development for managers? Why is it important? So we can view organization as a system. It is a part of the entire environment, business environment, and organization is an open system. It has several subsystems like various departments are there: human resource department, marketing department, research and development department, finance department, and various departments are there, and they can be viewed as an interdependent set of subsystems. Okay, now human resource development is a subsystem in itself in this and the part of the large system which exists, which we call or term as organization. Okay, so HRD has a proactive approach, and its main role is development of enabling capabilities of your employees. So, capabilities of the organization to deal with the problems concerned with the management of jobs and system in the field of personal management is the basic function of human resource managers or human resource development managers. Okay, and what different things which a manager is concerned here is they are concerned with the values like trust, openness, exploration, managing conflicts, etc., and it is done to reduce the human wastage or human efforts wastage through ensuring that a high level of motivated workforce exists in the organization. Then HRD regards job challenges and creativity and opportunities for the development as the main motivating force behind its workforce. If the organization is there and employees do not have a challenging role, are not given opportunity to exploit their creative part, are not being welcomed with the innovative or fresh ideas, there will be a stagnation or motivational factor. Motivation of those workforce will be down or lowered. So it is the function of human resource development managers to give the importance to job challenges, creativity, and opportunities in the organization for the human resource development managers. So this is the Oh,
वहीं से शुरू से जिस टाइम मोड
okay.
उसके पहले उसमें बता दीजिए कि प्रॉब्लम हुआ क्या है।
Okay, students, so there was some technical issue that we had in our network, and it has been resolved. As we see that human resource development in the same manner can have various glitch and issues which should be resolved promptly for further movement. So moving further with the slides, the functions of HR department for employees. We have already discussed and the functions of HRD department for its employees are training and development. We are naming it and we'll be discussing these different functions in our coming units and further reading. So we just need to understand what are the various primary functions, secondary functions, and tertiary functions. So the primary functions are training and development, organizational development, and career development. Then the secondary functions of human resource development directed towards achievement of goals and desired performance outcomes with its employees are role analysis and development, employee orientation programs, performance appraisal, potential appraisal, counseling, succession planning, participative devices and quality work life, then human resource information system and research. Then different objectives of the next unit are role of human resource development managers. So start. We have finished our fourth unit, and I hope that you have understood. Just go through the books, and if there is an issue, you can look up to the various slides and the discussion that those slides have, and move forward with the fifth unit, which is role of human resource development managers. So the objectives of this particular unit are discussing the emerging issues and challenges which are faced by the HRD professionals, and what is the role these professionals have to perform in the organization to tackle and confront with these emerging issues and challenges. So this is the layout of structure of these this particular unit. We'll be discussing or having the introductory part, then emerging issues, then role of HRD professionals, and conclusion. And for your self study, you can always view your questions, your case studies, and further reading suggested. So human resource managers plays a significant role in organization, as we have already discussed again and again. Changing work pattern is always evident in organization, and it can be done only with the help of human resource development managers. So HRD plays a dynamic role across all the levels of the organization, help them to cope with the challenges and changes in business environment. So, in order to sustain the momentum and develop human resources, HRD managers have to play different roles in the organization, and this entire unit is focused on the role of human resource development managers in the life of individual employee as well as the entire organization. So, what can be the challenges or issues faced by HRD professionals? The challenges and issues faced by them, especially in the context of various aspects of macro and micro business environment, can be discussed or understood. So, external business environments, as we all know, that is defined in terms of political, social, economical, technological, and legal environment, and it these macro issues, macro factors of business environment exist outside the boundaries of the organization. They are uncontrollable, unmanageable, unchangeable. So it is the organization which is on the receiving part, and they have to accept these the changes or how it gets affected with these factors. Pestle framework, as we all address these factors as political, economical, social, legal, technological environment. Okay. Then there is another layer of entire business organization environment, and that is the internal business environment. So, in the external business environment, we have micro and macro factors. Okay. And then we have another layer or another in the core, we have internal business environment. In the internal business environment, again, there are lots of factors which exist, like the business process, various subsystems of the organization, the work culture, the human resource environment, the technology that they have adopted, their own policies, their norms, their culture. So, everything which exist in the organization boundaries, and those can be changed, manipulated, controlled, are internal business environment factors. Okay, so whenever we are addressing the challenges or issues faced by human resource managers are addressed or understood in the light of this business environment and its macro micro level factors and internal level business environmental factors. So these challenges are encouraging diversity in workplace, so including the various caste, creed, religious, then working at a global level is evident outcome of the diversity at a workplace. So competing in global economy is another challenge or issue. Then reducing competence mismatches is another issue. Then addressing the requirement of persistent interdependent or independent learning atmosphere should be given to the employees. It is another challenge. Then promoting organizational learning is also an issue as well as challenge. How do we manage the workforce different generations that we have already named a few slides back, that generation X, Y, next, then millennials. So how these workforce different generations should be managed is and also an issue for human resource development managers. So, seeing them, viewing them as encouraging diversity at place, how will you do it? The workforce has gotten more diversified in recent years. This tendency will continue. It is going to be there for eternity, as per the researchers. So, includes rising racial, cultural, gender diversity, as well as growing share of workforce over 54 5 years old, the ratio of male to female workers or employees in your organization. Then the second thing is that with the rise of number of women in top positions or mid-level position is very important, and we need to protect these women from different kind of harassments at workplace. Okay, so that is these are the various challenges due to the workplace diversity. Okay, Then there is competing in global economy is also very much an issue to nowadays. Companies are not domestic. Each and every company is working in a global, in an open market, and companies must introduce new technology, advanced technologies, which need the hiring of more educated, sophisticated, and skilled employees. And with those capabilities and competencies who can match these new technology and technology advancement. So successful organization will use quality improvement methods and transformational activities in addition to retaining their employees. Okay, then okay students, so we wrap up with today's class, and in the next class we'll be continuing with this section, which is 5.2, emerging issues and issues and challenges faced by HRD professionals. And I thank you for listening to us or this entire presentation patiently. So have a nice day ahead. Thank you so much.